If you just give up and tell me what I want to know, you'll save yourself a lot of pain. And if you don't... What?
I regret to inform you that you've made 2 miscalculations regarding my ability, Arrow Hand. Is that you failed to realize I can gather my jets for massive output that can launch heavy equipment into the stratosphere. With my power, I can send absolutely anything flying.
Hello everybody, Megazord Xer. I'm back at it again to give y'all another very exciting episode review over a certain scientific railgun tea. And this time I'm going to be reviewing episode 5 called Trust. And if you haven't already checked out my episode 4 review over railgun tea, you can go ahead and click that card in the corner, check that video out, and then bounce back over and watch this one though. Because I gotta say, with this episode, oh shoot, so we're finally getting some development with some Kongo this time. Because, you know, recently, you know, all the previous 4 episodes had a primary focus on Misaka though, but now we're starting to kind of delve in a little bit more with the side characters and start to kind of give them a little bit of justice, because, you know, the way how Shokuho kind of set Misaka up, we knew going into these future episodes she was going to need some outside help, not just from her original posse, her original group, because, you know, Shoko brainwashed him or whatever though. So it was nice to actually see Kongo actually have the spotlight within this episode. And there was a lot of different things I want to talk about as well. All the different things that happened within this episode though. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight up into this episode review of a certain scientific railgun tea. In the final moments of the previous episode, Misaka found herself being placed under the guard of Misaki's clique, who seemed to have no clue about Misaki's ulterior motives. After this, she ended up meeting Kuroko, Uriharu, and Satin, who seemed to have their memories stolen away by Shokuho. Shortly after that, we get to see Kongo, Wanai, and Awatsuki hanging out, and they managed to run into Kuroko, Satin, and Uriharu, and right off the bat, Kongo immediately knew something was off. Now, we get to see, you know, the original 3 started to, you know, walk back or whatever, come back over here next to Kongo and her group or whatever though. And then you get to see Kuroko over here just kind of going off and saying, oh, you know what, that railgun, that certain railgun that goes to our school or something like that, she had like the audacity to talk to me like this or something. And she went, you know, on and on, yada, yada, yada. And then Kongo was over there listening, and I was like, wait a minute, did these girls get in a fight or whatever though? Because the way how she was talking or whatever though, that was very uncharacteristic, like for Kuroko to be talking about Misaka like that though. So instantly we get to see this sort of kind of look on Kongo's face. It's like something ain't kind of adding up, but maybe I'll go back and touch on that subject the next time I'm gonna run into Misaka or whatever though. Briefly after this, the next event was about to take place, and it's called Balloon Sandwich, where 2 people were supposed to hold a balloon between each other without, you know, letting the balloon fall, and obviously they can't use their hands. During this event, Kongo claims that she was able to recognize Misaka's sister as a different person, and after Misaka tells her all about Shokuho's sinister intentions, she decides to look for Misaka's sister herself. Now, it was sort of kind of, it was a really nice kind of touching moment, because, you know, we know Misaka, we know her pretty well, and for the most part she's pretty reserved and doesn't really tell anybody about the sisters for the sake of, you know, their safety or whatever though, because these sisters has been through a lot ever since, you know, the very beginning of Railgun as a whole though. But, you know, the matter of fact is she was sort of kind of able to open up, even if it wasn't like all the details about, you know, them being clones or whatever though. She was able to tell Kongo just enough information about the situation and what's going on, because she knew she needed help, because, you know, Shokuho has her eyes out on her though. She was able to kind of give her the 401 and tell her all the different stuff that was happening between last episode to this episode. And, you know, Kongo's on that idea with her and said, you know what, man, if I would have knew this stuff about Shokuho, man, I would have done something earlier though. I'm glad you told me about this. I'm going to help you no matter what. Tell me the details and tell me what you need me to do, and I'm going to do it. And Kongo was fully on board, and it wasn't like, you know, Misaka, she asked for her help though, but she was definitely willing to help. Even if she told her not to get into the situation, no, she was fully on deck. And Misaka even told her and said, you know what, hey, don't do something that will put you in the harm's way. Don't go too far. Just do just enough stuff for me to the point where I'll be able to do the rest. But you know what? There was something really important that she managed to tell her and say, you know what, starting from this point forward, watch what you're hearing in terms of news reports from different people, because you don't know, I could be brainwashed already by Shokuho, and we're having this conversation right now though. So she said, you know what, trust me that I'm gonna bring back your sister to you myself, because you know, if you think about it, if she didn't come back and she was to tell her, you know, what information she had, you know, that could be just the words of Shokuho in Kongo's mouth right there, just giving her the 401 whatever, which could actually lead her to a trap. So it was really important, the matter of fact, that Kongo basically had that discussion with Misaka and brought that to her attention, because that was probably something that she wasn't really thinking about as well though. But I do like those little moments that Kongo, you know, kind of showing her her intelligence and, you know, basically filling in Misaka with some information that she previously didn't even think about. So overall, I really appreciated that scene though. But at the very tail end of that, we get to see a little bit of a small little segment. It wasn't really that long though, but we get to see Shokuho looking over Misaka's clone, and you know, Misaka's clone is just like sweating. She looks like she's like very sick, based upon that mosquito bite that she got from that dude called Baba, which I'm about to get to a little bit further here in just a second though. But it looks like, you know, things ain't looking good for her though, and that look that Shokuho had, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to really understand the angle of why she's going this far and what's really on her hidden agenda right now though. But that's all there is with Shokuho, and that's like the only quick little scene that we really get to see from her in this episode though. In this next scene, however, we do get a little pause in the action. Give yourself a chance to, you know, sort of kind of take a breath for a moment though, because we get to see Hyunko have a little chat with Misaka, and I would never guess that it would be over about some Gekida merchandise and stuff, because, you know, for me at least, that was a little bit out of left field though. No matter of fact, there's somebody else out there that's just like Misaka that likes to collect these Gekida accessories and everything else that's sort of kind of relating with that brand. It was kind of funny though, but you know, you get to see a little nice little sweet side of her, and it really makes me question that, you know what, these this clique that's associated with Shokuho, I feel like they really do have some honest good intentions though, and it makes me think, you know what, if there's some moment later down in the future within this season that if they manage to figure out what Shokuho has been doing around the side, I wonder, that really does make me question whether or not this clique that she's been associated with will just disperse and, you know, go their own separate ways after they figure out all the stuff that Shokuho has been, you know, doing and sort of kind of been manipulating them to do. That's just one big thing that I sort of kind of pulled away from this little situation though. But it was pretty nice to see, you know, Misaka be able to relate with another person within this series that likes Gekida just as much as she does. In the next scene, we get to see Baba talking to some mysterious girl who seems to be the one giving orders to him. And it seems like, you know, she was basically the one that sort of kind of told him, Baba, and say, hey, you know what, do this with your machinery in order to get that one sister. And somehow, you know, Shokuho came up in there and, you know, took the sister off hand. Now, this is where things gets a little interesting, and here's my little 2 cents on this, though. But the matter of fact, I feel like we had 2 separate little parties, and it doesn't seem like Baba and the higher up that's giving him all these commands, I don't feel like these two are directly working with each other to have the same similar goal. Because if you think about it, when Shokuho came and took Misaka's sister, she could have easily just, you know, immediately looked into her eyes and said, you know what, start obeying my every command. And she could have had her go wherever without her actually, you know, having to carry her body off. And it was in this scene where Baba was sort of kind of questioning and saying, are you sure that girl didn't go to a hospital? It was at that moment right there, I'm like, wait a minute, these 2 parties are 2 separate parties, and they're not doing, you know, the same things with their same similar goals or whatever though. So, you know what, now we have 2 different things to really look at. Baba with the person that he's reporting up to, and who knows how many layers were going up from that side, and then we have Shokuho with her hidden agenda, which we really don't know much of anything about at this point though. So that was one thing I really want to point out though, but it was a really short little scene though. Kongo then heads to the site of Misaka's sister's disappearance and finds a cat there. She learns that the cat belongs to Misaka's sister from Wanai. Since the cat has some type of a connection to Misaka's missing sister, Wanai helps them out by calling another Esper who has the ability to understand cats. Somehow, because of this, Kongo lands in Baba's radar, and he then takes her to an isolated area. Now, it was in this little moment where, you know what, that was a really good, quick little decision from Wanai to basically say, you know what, hey, if this cat basically saw what potentially happened to Misaka's sister, then you know what, hey, we might be able to talk and associate ourselves with this one Esper that may be able to understand what this cat is basically saying, and we can basically have a lead. So, you know, Kongo's basically, you know, saying to herself, like, man, you know what, who would have known that this little cat right here could be potentially the next biggest lead in terms of, you know, finding Misaka's sister. However, you know what, she should have stayed her butt there, because then we get to see Baba come out of nowhere and approach her, and it was thanks to him using his dogs to sort of kind of pick up surveillance to find more information out about Misaka's the Misaka sisters or whatever though. And you know what he said, you know what, and he basically told like her a whole bunch of lies though. But he basically said, you know what, hey, I've been tasked to sort of kind of protect the sisters, and you know what, we have the same similar goals in mind. I'm trying to find them too. Why don't we compare my answers to your answers? But however, before we do all of this stuff, let's go ahead and talk in a more sort of kind of private place or whatever though. Instantly in my head, I was knowing, you know what, you don't ever talk to somebody and say, hey, you know what, let's talk about some details though, but in a more private place. You better get ready for a showdown though, because you know that right there is instantly fishy underneath my nose though. And once they get to this spot, yeah, sort of kind of isolated, ain't nobody else around. This is where he said, you know what, you tell me all of this information right now, because either you tell me now and you know you can walk away with from the situation unharmed, or you're gonna get yourself beat up in the process. And you know, Kongo was like, you know what, the only reason why I was following him was to think that maybe I can get some kind of information out of him, if at all possible though. But now, oh man, things weren't looking good though. And you know, the dude said, you know what, I did a lot of information on all of you Tokyo Dai girls, and you know what, I know all of your Esper powers, so I basically lured you out here to my strategic advantage or whatever though. But Kongo manages to one-up him and say, you know what, I can use my Esper powers from pretty much anywhere, including shooting it straight out of the ground as well though. So she takes all of her Esper powers and was able to actually knock over this big old antenna-like structure, and basically makes it fall over, and thus, you know, destroying all the different dogs that he had surrounding him or whatever though. And he's like, dang, you know what, at this rate I'm gonna lose, and you know what, things aren't gonna look good for me. He's like, I need a small little opening of some kind of type. And then obviously the cat was there, and then he sent out his mosquito to try to do something to the cat or whatever though. But in the process of all of that, he wasn't expecting Kongo to jump in front of the cat to protect it, because you know, Kongo, you know, was, you know, sort of kind of feeling a little empathy towards the cat, and say, you know what, I need to protect this cat because it's associated with Misaka's sister, and you know what, it's also one of my leads. So you know what, out of the respect of protecting the cat as well as my lead, I'm gonna take the hit on this one. I'm gonna bite the bullet. And then it was at this moment where the dude was sort of kind of looking over her, and he's like, dang, I didn't think you were really gonna do that though. And he was like, you know what, that thing was expensive though, and I was hoping I could settle the situation, you know, without having to use that mosquito or whatever though. But eventually the dude was like, man, you're second rate, you know what, you really ain't nothing. And you just get to see this dude beating up on this girl. Like, he wasn't holding anything back. And you know, this was the point of disgust in this episode. I was like, dang, this Baba dude is crazy sick in the head. And I'm like, no, you don't just go around doing this mess though. It made me want to hop up in that episode myself and teach that man a lesson. I would have gave him a good little pummeling though, or whatever though. But it was shortly after this moment though where we get to see Satan manage to step up in there and tries to save her, and you know, she rushes to her side, picks her up, checks on her and see, you know if she's doing all right or whatever though. And then as backup, you also get to see Wanai and Awatsuki they're right behind her. And then we get to see and then they ask Satan to look after Kongo and the cat, because at this point they were about to teach Baba a lesson, and they were about to go all out. And that's pretty much where the episode ended though. But the matter of fact that, you know, these three other girls come up in here, it's like, well, you busted up this girl pretty good. No, this ain't gonna fly. And all three of them were mad, and especially Wanai and Awatsuki, because you know, those were Kongo's closest friends right there. And oh my gosh, man, ooh, this anime, oh my goodness, is getting good right now because, man, we're just about to get fight scene after fight scene after fight scene now, and the mystery of, you know, why Shokuho is doing all of this stuff, and what is this second other party that's also trying to get their hands on the sisters as well, with Baba and whoever his leader or whoever that's above him is basically giving him the commands or whatever, though, because I want to know what kind of angle they're trying to get from this whole situation as well, though. But that's about it in terms of this episode, though. So if you really like this episode, let me know down in the comment section down below, what all did you think about this episode? Did you really enjoy seeing Kongo in action, and, you know, seeing all the different things that she was able to do on Misaka's behalf, because, you know, Misaka can't do as many things as what she wants to do since she's underneath surveillance from Shokuho's clique? And overall, what do you expect to happen within the next episode as well, though? So let me know all your thoughts and predictions down in the comment section below. But that about does it for my episode review over a certain scientific Railgun T. So make sure to tune in next week for my episode 6 review of Railgun T called The Battle Begins. So remember, y'all, until whatever video I make next, see y'all.
What? If we don't keep that cat safe, everything Kongo's done will have been for nothing. Besides, I know you're angry, but you're not the only one here who's utterly furious right now.